Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is John. In this episode, the first episode of Tone Talks, let's dive into Gibson Murphy Lab guitars if they're really worth that crazy price point. Let's get started. So this series, Tone Talks, is going to be about literally chasing tone, what it's like to chase tone, how I go about chasing the tones that are in my head. And most of all, it's just going to be a candid place where I can jump on really quick, talk about something tone related that I'm passionate about, that's on my mind, and maybe other people can jump in on the conversation in the comments, make videos about it, etc. And that's really what I want, is to talk about what pieces of gear that I use, what techniques I use, and maybe other people can give me some insight and I can give them some insight. It can be this kind of cool community. So that's what Tone Talks is really going to be about. So I wanted to talk about a certain guitar manufacturer, and that manufacturer is Gibson. Gibson over the years has had their ups and downs, especially around 2013 to 2017. That whole robot era was kind of a massive miss for Gibson as a whole. They lost a lot of good faith with their customers. They basically lost touch with what made Gibsons great in the first place. And I really think that they've come back around, especially in the last 3 years or so, and really proven themselves in the market again. A perfect example are these Murphy Lab Gibsons, Les Pauls, SGs, 335s, you name it. The Gibson Murphy Lab, I originally thought these were going to just be very expensive relic jobs that were done with razor blades and kind of just had this price tag that didn't match the level of guitar that they were aiming to be. Before I show you the guitars in question, let me just preface this by saying I believe with all of my heart that a musician will become better and better. Their tone will become more honest, more authentic, and better the stronger their emotional bond or connection is with that particular instrument. Let me explain. When I picked up this 1964 Murphy Lab SG, there was just something about it, the way that it resonates when you're playing it just acoustically. It rings like a bell. It's so easy to play, and it feels magical and inspiring to play. Now, that will pull things out of me. They'll pull the tone out of my hands, out of me as a player, in a way that other guitars have not been able to in the past. Now, they might be good playing and good sounding guitars, but they ultimately are more tools at that point. This to me is I have an emotional connection with this instrument where now it basically pulls the best tone out of my hand. Now, when talking about guitars like these, why do I bring up the emotional connection and how that has anything to do with tone? Because at this price point, this guitar was $7,200. Let that sink in. For me, I thought this was totally going to be out of reach, but I traded in an arm and a leg pretty much to have this and have my other Murphy Lab, because that's how strong of an emotional bond I felt with that instrument when I played it for the first time. It just felt like an instrument that I had to figure out a way to pay for. It was one that I couldn't let go, or else I would regret it for years and years to come. And that's really what I'm coming down to with this video, is sometimes you find an instrument that you vibe with so well that it seriously pulls the tone out of your fingers. And that is worth all of the money in the world to me as a session player here in Nashville. So now that I got that kind of excerpt on tone out of the way, let's talk about what Murphy Lab brings that creates this experience of, I need it, this is really who I am, and it gives you that emotional bond to the instrument. Number one, their aging process is so authentic. You could tell me this was a 1964 SG and I would believe you. It is unreal. The checking across the finish is crazy. It is crazy to say the least. The playware not only looks authentic, it feels authentic. That's something that relics usually don't do very well, is the fact that it feels like someone just took a piece of sandpaper and sanded it down. This really feels like someone had it against their leg and against the buckle for the last 50 years. The neck also has finish checking. It has dings taken out of the neck. It's just, it feels old. And that is something that you can't replicate, or a lot of manufacturers can't replicate. They'll sand areas down, make it look convincing, but it won't have the feel of an old guitar. This to me feels authentically old. And that to me is, it's trippy, because I could sit here and be like, wow, this really feels like an old guitar. And that's hard to replicate these days, I feel like. Gibson has knocked it out of the park with that. So another thing that I've noticed about the Murphy Lab instruments is they all resonate incredibly well. I don't know if it's the wood that they're choosing, that Tom Murphy really has top choice of guitars, but I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it is loud acoustically. Everything rings out like a bell. It's just so inspiring even to play without an amp. So now that you guys have seen the first guitar in question, let's look at the second one. This is a burst. This is a 1959 Murphy Lab light aged in iced tea burst. And let me tell you guys, outside of spending the $350,000 to $500,000 you would need to get an actual burst, this is incredibly convincing. It just, let me get closer to the mic. It just rings like a bell, and it just, this one as well. If you guys look at the figuring, it's not super highly figured, but it just dances in the light. It is just an amazing job. They put dings and dents. They put dings and dents all over it. The finish checking is outrageous. The back also finish checking everywhere. It's just all around a beautiful instrument. The best part is they actually put dents and dings on the neck, so it feels just like someone played the living crap out of it. So now that you guys have kind of had a little bit of a look at the guitars in question, let's see how they sound. For this sound demo, I'm going to be miking up Magnatone Panoramic Stereo, and you guys are just going to hear just raw SM-57 audio, not processed at all. So hope you guys enjoy. So not only do these guitars sound absolutely amazing unplugged, they sound huge and resonant and they ring like a bell, but they sound even better plugged in. You plug them into an amp and immediately you're hit with this wave of touch sensitivity and dynamic range and just big, ginormous sound. And it's something that's really hard to translate over the internet and over YouTube. But my big suggestion would be to go play one because they will blow you away. This is partially down to period correct wiring and pickups and parts, but in general, these guitars are just freaking phenomenal. Can't say enough good about them. So in summary, these guitars extract the maximum amount of tone out of your fingers by basically giving you every tool necessary to push yourself as a player. Now, this isn't for everyone. I would say beginners aren't going to notice anything, as well as even intermediate players. They'll probably think it's just a really nice guitar. This is for the seasoned player who has been really searching and soul searching and looking for a guitar that speaks to them and their playstyle perfectly. These are not instruments to go impulse spend on. There are some that you really have to spend your time with. You really have to look for the right one. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go play these guitars. They're awesome. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.